In a relationship, when a conflict arrives or when there's big emotions, do you avoid these conflicts and emotions overall? Or do you get close and chase your partner's validation to feel safe? Are you anxious? Are you avoidant? Or are you somewhere in between? Or are you secure? Today, we are talking attachment style. And in simple words, attachment styles are the way in which a person is handling conflict, how this person seeks connection and love, and how this person acts in a relationship in general. Now, some people have avoidant attachment, some people have anxious attachment, and some people, luckily, have secure attachment. So these attachment styles, we are not born with it, but we had to grow up with it and we had to deal with it. This shapes our pathways in how we deal with the world, relationships, workplace, school, social life, and even in our personal inner life in adulthood. Our attachment style is out of our control, but it's not too late to change them. It's not too late to heal. And before all that, I'm just going to talk about the background, just a brief history, because I don't want to get too sciencey with all of this. So yeah, I'll just talk to you about how they came up with the attachment theory. So it started with the British psychiatrist John Bowlby, and he told us in his studies that the bond between an infant and the baby's primary caregiver, which in this case we'll just call it a mom. So the baby and the mom, we have the baby and the mom. I don't know why I had to say that twice. And so the closeness between them, John Bowlby said that it is a biological need. So it's not just like a simple thing. It's not a want. It's a must. It's a need. So John Bowlby was telling us that a baby and a mom should have an emotional connection, an emotional physical bond. And a baby and a mom should be close to each other emotionally and physically. It's like very important. This is like crucial for the infant's development. So the infant could survive and grow as a healthy child and a healthier adult. And in his studies, John Bowlby also said that these things, this need is so important for a child that instinctively, by instinct and naturally, biologically, the child will cry, will smile, just to seek closeness, just to seek bond with their primary caregiver, with their moms. So when a baby is clinging, when a baby is smiling, when a baby is crying, or when the baby is like laughing and being all goo goo and gagas, you know, this is their way, their biological and natural way to seek closeness with their caregiver. So, like, for example, when a baby cries, of course, the caregiver would cater a child's need. And when the baby is laughing, we get closer to the child as their caregiver. So in this way, the child will get that need for bond and connection. So he proved these things in his studies that a bond between a baby and the primary caregiver is very crucial. It's very important, and you cannot just skip that and expect your baby to be fine. You can't just not care for a baby's needs and expect them to be, oh, they're gonna be fine. No, it doesn't work that way. Now it was established that a bond between a mom and a baby, very important, crucial, unskippable. Now, here comes Mary Ainsworth. So Mary Ainsworth, a Canadian-American psychologist, made an experiment between babies aged 12 to 18 months. So that's like 1 year and older. And they were with their moms. And Mary Ainsworth put them in this room full of toys. So the mom and the baby would get in the room, and Mary Ainsworth would observe how the babies would react and how they would behave. in that room full of toys. Now, some babies would cling to their mom, even though it's a safe place, it's a room full of toys. They would still cling to that mom and never letting go. They were like, I'm so scared to let go, and I'm just gonna be here even though I see a lot of toys and I wanna play. I just don't wanna let go of my mommy. Now, some babies, as they enter the room, they would just let go of their mom, and then they would just play alone, and they would just be in their own world. Now, some babies would hold on to their mom, observe the plays, and they would play happily. Now, the next part of that experiment was a stranger would get in the room and the mom would live with that stranger, and the babies would be left alone. And now the babies who were clinging to their mom, never letting go, was crying nonstop. They would like scream, they would shout, they would cry, and the babies who would just like let go, they didn't even notice that their mom was leaving. They didn't even had any reaction to the strangers. They were just, I don't care about this. I'm gonna do my own thing here. I'm gonna play and have a good time on my own. And some babies would cry when their mom left and soothe themselves and then continue on playing. So if you're familiar with the attachment styles, at this point, you know where I'm going. And for the next part of the experiment, the moms would come back. And those babies who were clinging to mommy are still crying. They're screaming, they're shouting, all that, they're throwing tantrums. It was like they're punishing their caregiver for leaving them, even for just a moment. And those babies who are like, they don't care and they're so neutral and indifferent about their mom leaving, when their mom came back, they didn't even notice that their mom left in the first place. And these are the babies that are more avoidantly attached. And some babies, when their mom came back, they're like happier, but they're also happy with playing with the toys. And yeah, they are more securely attached. So that was the experiment. It showed that the moms with the clinging babies who were too anxious and scared are more likely the moms who are like very inconsistent with their care. They were very on and off. So today they would hug the baby, they would play with the baby, they would kiss the baby, and then the next day they wouldn't do any of that. And then the next day they would be sweet mom, and then the next day they wouldn't be as sweet and caring. So it was very inconsistent. It was very on and off, and that would create anxiously attached babies. That would create scared adults. So for the moms with the neutral and nonchalant and independent, indifferent babies, they were the type of moms who are most likely to be emotionally unavailable and rejecting. So, for example, they would clothe the baby, they would feed the baby, they would even like walk with the baby, but when it comes to closeness and being playful and showing affection, they are like more likely to be absent. These moms were more likely emotionally unavailable. So they would give you your basic needs, but not your emotional needs. And that would create avoidantly attached babies. So you would think, oh, that's good that kids are independent. But imagine an infant, a 1-year-old baby, being independent and thinking that they can't rely on their mom. That's just sad. And for the babies who are like a good mixed balance of both, they were securely attached, and that means their main caregiver or their mom in this experiment were the moms who were most likely to be very caring, very attentive of their needs, very loving and responsible. So then they created securely attached babies, and they would grow up to be very healthy adults. So with these years of studies and experimenting, John Bowlby told us that your attachment style, this is not like a short-term childhood phase. This is from your childhood up to your adulthood, and only you can change this, or else this would be permanent. And we see with Mary Ainsworth's playroom experiment that this is how it plays out in real life. So if you don't heal, you're gonna be this way forever. If you're insecurely attached, if you're avoidant or you're anxious, this is gonna be who you are forever if you don't try and heal. And yeah, you can heal these things because the goal is to be securely attached. And we're not having this conversation to shame on our culture and our caregivers or ourselves. We're having this because in order to heal, we gotta have this conversation and think deeply and talk about these things, even though sometimes they can be seen as taboo or sensitive. But the only way to think about this is these conversations are crucial in order to grow as a better and more secure person, so you could love someone, you could love the people around you, and you could also love yourself without fear of being left alone or your trust being broken, right? And the goal is to be securely attached, to be a secure person. And it also got me thinking, how would I feel if I'm one of these babies? I mean, you, how would you feel? If you're thinking about your upbringing and how your mom was or your primary caregiver or your whole family was growing up, do you think you would one of those kids who would cling to their mom, or those kids who just didn't care? Or are you a good mix of both because your mom was very attentive and loving? Lucky you. And if you're one of those clinging babies, do you think your mom was more on the emotionally unavailable side, or your mom was one of those who are very inconsistent and on and off with their care, and now you're anxious or now you're an avoidant? I think I'm one of those babies who would just not care at all. My mom would always say that I was very much of a quiet kid. Like I was in my own world. I'm just like, in simple words, I was an independent kid. And it may sound good to be an independent kid, but I grew up to be an avoidant, so what's good about that, right? Thanks, Mom, you made me an independent kid. It plays a big part, right? All roads lead to Rome. Nope. All roads lead to Mommy. All roads lead to Mommy. That's just how it is. I think it's no doubt that I grew up to be a very... Yeah, I would use the word very. I was a very avoidant kid growing up. I was an avoidant teenager. I was even an avoidant adult, and I'm not proud of that because it ruined some of opportunities for me to connect with people and to experience good things in life, good relationship. But yeah, now I'm trying my best to heal. I think I'm on my way to being 100% secure person, right? But growing up, I remember being so avoidant, like big feelings, fights and conflicts and confrontations, and asking for love and asking for reassurance was just like a big task for me. Like I just couldn't do it. I'd rather run away. I would always run away from relationship, from friendships, from people, from every connection. I would just run away from it. Because for an avoidant person, the safest and easiest thing to do is to run away. That is where their safe place is, by running away to nothingness. Because that's what they are familiar with. They grew up with a caregiver who were emotionally unavailable, who would give them nothing. So they would run away to nothingness as an adult because that is what's safe for them. I think my avoidant attachment came from this inconsistency of my primary caregiver. So at a very young age, I didn't know who was my main caregiver. Was it my mom? Was it my dad? Was it my brother? Right? Was it my sister? Was it the neighbor? Until I realized, it's just myself. Yeah. And then, yeah, it had also something to do with changing places and traveling a lot as a kid. And moving houses a lot as a kid did not help with my avoidant attachment because it just made me feel like, oh, everything is replaceable. Everyone is replaceable. And it's like when I moved to the city, I meet someone, I meet some friends, and then the next month we move to another city, and then I also meet some friends and I also have fun with them. I also feel connection with them. And it made me feel like whenever I have to ask for connection, I just have to cancel it because I'm thinking, why would I ask for connection when I could have it on the new place, right? And for years that was how my mind worked. And yeah, it was so bad. And like I said, we have to actually heal this ourselves because our parents are not going to say sorry unless you have really, really good parents. In that case, you don't even need to heal because you're fucking secure. And congratulations to those people who had like caregivers who were inconsistent and emotionally unavailable. That could play a big part on their trauma, and that could play a big part in how they don't know how to connect with people and even themselves in some levels when they grow up. So you can't expect your caregivers to be like, oh, I'm sorry I fucked you up. I'm sorry I messed with your head, right? A part of healing is not resenting them anymore. Just accepting the fact that, oh, that happened. Of course, you can mourn that childhood, that connection, that care that could have been given to you, that should have been given to you. Of course, you can grieve that. You can mourn those what ifs. That's part of healing. But at the end of the day, you have to accept that as it is. And that's your starting point to actually heal your attachment style. Because like I said, the goal is to be securely attached. And for years and years, that's what I did. I tried so hard to heal my avoidance, and now I'm starting to feel better. I could connect with people. I could ask for reassurance. I could take and respect other people's boundaries. I also have and stick to my boundaries. And when I need love, I just say it. I just say what I need. I just say what I feel. And I also understand and receive and try to understand other people's feedback and their seeking for love. And now let's go through each of the attachment styles. And of course, to not mess this up, like how our parents did us, I have a list and I'm gonna be basing on this list. And let's start with an anxiously attached person crave this intensity, this fiery, passionate connection that just never rests. I would say that it just never rests. They would never let their relationship rest even for just a while. They would always chase that high. It's always that high after high after high. An anxiously attached person would pour almost all of their energy on the relationship, all their time, all their attention, and as a result of this, they would become so dependent, especially emotionally, with this person. So when this person is busy, they would panic. When this person's tone change a bit, or when this person wants some alone time, or when this person's mood changed even for just a bit, they would panic. They would notice those little things and go into this never-ending spiral of constantly doubting the relationship, doubting themselves. And to fill that void, an anxiously attached person would always like ask for reassurance. Do you still love me? Are you cheating on me? Is your tone changing? Do you hate me? Do you want to break up with me? Are you breaking up with me? It's just, to them, a reassurance is never enough. Like you could be spending time with them like 24/7, reassuring them 24/7, but this fear, this unhealed trauma, this unhealed fear that they have in their heart is causing them to be in this, like I said, never-ending spiral. So they would just ask for assurance and be clingy and depend on you, and they would be jealous and they would accuse you of things. And yeah, it can be exhausting, but it also can be exhausting to be an anxiously attached person. It's just a constant fear that they have that is keeping them away from actually connecting with you. And now for the avoidantly attached individual, these are the type of person who is more comfortable being alone and being with themselves, being independent rather than being with their partner. I know it's weird, right? Like you're in a relationship and you hate being with your partner for a long period of time. So it's a bit confusing. But yeah, they value their independence more. They value their freedom a lot. And they would feel suffocated when there's this big emotions, when especially when their partner is getting close to them. It could be just literal closeness, like they just want affection, or it could be during a conflict or a fight. That is when an avoidantly attached person like feel suffocated when their freedom is threatened. And they would fear their partner being too close to them. It could be physically, like when you're with them, they would like avoid you. They would avoid any physical touch. They would avoid being open with their emotions. They would avoid being having this deep conversation about feelings and emotions. And yeah, just opening up. That's like one of the hardest things for an avoidantly attached individual to do, to open up to their partner. Because if we think about this in an avoidantly attached person's point of view, how could you even open up about your feelings to other people when you can't even open up about your feelings even to yourself? Because you grew up in this environment where they didn't create a safe place for you to do this and be open and know your emotions. So avoidantly attached individuals have trust issues because how can they even trust someone when they can't even trust themselves in the first place? And the next one is secure attachment. So this is the goal, right? This is why we heal, to be securely attached. So a securely attached individual, they are the ones they trust themselves and they trust other people. They know their emotions and they're not afraid of showing that. They seek closeness and they also express their love and their affection to other people. And they value alone time, but they also like spending time with their partner. They're not afraid of their partner leaving them because they have no reason to be afraid, and they respect boundaries and they also have boundaries. So they allocate their time and their attention towards themselves properly and to other things and to other people as well. So it's all a good mix of everything, a good balance of both. Being with a secure, attached individual is like being encouraged to be yourself, but also being encouraged to stick to your boundaries and have respect and trust with yourself and with others. And they encourage you to open up because they're also open with their feelings. They don't avoid big fights. They don't avoid conflicts. They don't run away from emotions. And most importantly, they wouldn't chase you because in a securely attached person's mindset, if I had to chase you, that's not love. And I only give myself the proper and the love that I deserve. So that's secure attachment, and that's also avoidant and anxious attachment. When it comes to trying to be securely attached, it takes years of hard work. And I know that by now. It also feels so good to be securely attached. So it feels so good to love someone in a very secure manner and also be loved by someone in a very secure way. And these healthy patterns, these beautiful self-trust and recognition, and this self-validation and self-care would also reflect on your surroundings, on your relationship, on other people you love, and your works, and your social life, and just your overall inner peace and mental health. So it's such a beautiful thing to be securely attached. You can love yourself healthily, you can love other people healthily, and there's no fear of being rejected. There is no fear of being left behind, being left alone, and you could love people and yourself in the way that you deserve and they deserve. And also, I just want to say one of the things that I hate that the internet is constantly doing is the internet is infantilizing anxious attachment style and they're villainizing avoidant attachment style as if those two are very different from each other. They're not. They have the common denominator. They have the same fear. They have the same fear of abandonment, fear of conflict, and fear of big feelings. And they also have this fear of being unworthy. And they both is toxic. And they keep saying avoidant attachment are narcissistic, they're cheaters, they're manipulative, as if they say that as if anxious attachment is not manipulative, is not as toxic, if not more toxic. Because anxious attachment is more on the manipulative side because they have to constantly earn that love and they would do anything to earn that love. And here's another thing that I want to tell the avoidant attachment people. If you hate that love so much, if you fear that love so much, why do you keep on running away from it? And why do you keep on coming back for it, right? So I would suggest just healing, just spotting these patterns, just knowing what triggers these avoidant tendencies and start from there. And here's what I want to tell and ask the anxious attached people. If you want that love so much that you have to do anything and earn it and give your life to prove that you're worthy of love, why not prove it first and foremost to yourself and do a reverse card on yourself and just give that love to yourself, all that attention back to yourself, right? And heal. And like I said, heal and know your patterns, know your triggers, and start from there. Now, I want to talk about another two types of avoidance styles. Again, we don't need more avoidant attachment styles in this world. Yeah, I know. I get you. These people actually exist in real world and you also know them. And this person might be you also, right? So these are, I think you've heard this on the internet. If you're always on the internet, these are dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant. So a dismissive avoidant, you have a very positive view of yourself. You have trust in yourself. You respect yourself. You're secure with yourself. But when it comes to other people, that's where the avoidant tendency comes up, right? So you trust yourself, but not other people. You trust that you can love other people, but you don't trust that they can love you in a way that you deserve to be loved. It's not narcissism, by the way. It's not like feeling like you're up there and people are below you. It's not like feeling, oh, I deserve the world and you just can't give it to me, right? It's not that. It's more like, again, it's just trust issues. And dismissive avoidants tend to give love, but they don't really trust other people's love. So they would give love, but they would avoid receiving love. So they would give love, they trust themselves that they are able to give love, but when it comes to receiving love, that's where they avoid it and that's where they doubt their worth. They feel like they're not worthy of love. So in a result of this, they would only seek a surface level relationship, and most of the time it's just no label relationship. Sometimes it's just situationships. There is zero commitment. So when it feels like too much, when everything's too much, a dismissive avoidant person could just go away. They would just run away and disappear. So they tend to ghost people and they would just come back because, like I said, they trust themselves that they could love someone and they want to love someone. It's just they don't trust other people to love them back. Unlike a dismissive avoidant person, fearful avoidants have this negative feeling towards other people and they would also have negative feeling towards themselves. So they don't trust other people to give them love and they don't also trust themselves to be able to give that love. But they want that love, of course. We all want love and connection, but they also fear that love in a way that they would chase it like an anxious attached person would. They would chase that love, and when they get that love, they would back away and run away. They would ghost, they would back away, they would disappear. And these people tend to get more on long distance relationship because they could get that commitment that they want. They would feel reassured when they're in a secure committed relationship. But when conflict arises, or when there's big feelings, when there's conflict, they would just say, my battery's dead, my phone's dead, or there's a power interruption, or Wi-Fi is getting bad, right? You could just say that in a long distance relationship. That's their way of running away. And that's fearful avoidant. It's push and pull. They would chase and then back away. They would chase and then back away. Honestly, it's so exhausting to deal with this type of person. You would feel love when they try to pursue you, and when they get you, they would lose interest. And you would chase them, and they would run away, and you would stop chasing them, and they would chase you now. And once they get you again, it just and on and on and on. Exhausting cycle. A cycle that I never ever want to be a part of. No. Keep me away from fearful avoidance. I think I get the fear and misunderstanding of avoidant people towards commitment and long-term relationship. Now that I'm working on myself and my attachment style, I know now that some people are just not replaceable. Some people are just so unique and so beautiful and so lovely. And these experiences and relationship that we have with them is as unique and as beautiful as them, and you just can't find this connection anywhere else. So I think you should ditch that situationship you have with that avoidant. You're just getting yourself in hell. I'm telling you. It's normal, people. It's Fleabag again and again and again. You wouldn't survive this. If you're an anxious in a situationship with a dismissive avoidant or a fearful avoidant, run. So now that we talk about the good and the bad, especially the bad, of the attachment styles, I think we have now a decent and fair understanding of what it's like to be in this cycle of toxic patterns and toxic behaviors and this unhealthy imbalanced dynamic in a relationship. So now we should be able to understand that we have to actually heal this, because all roads lead to Rome, all roads lead to mommy, and mommy didn't take care of us, right? Yeah, so we have to heal this. And now I think we've seen and learned time and time again that these unhealed patterns could ruin relationship, it could ruin lives, it could ruin you and other people. And we don't want that. No, we don't want that. And I think you would agree as well that love and relationships are too much of a wonderful things for us to fuck up just because mommy didn't take care of us, right? It's not worth the damage, and it's too wonderful for us to not give it to ourselves, or at least try to heal and get that love that we actually deserve. I mean, we're adults now, we're grown, and I think it's time for us to make our own decision to better our lives. And that decision is to fix our attachment style, break old habits, break unhealthy patterns, and break our toxic behaviors that is ruining our wonderful connection that is, around us. Can you imagine a day where you wake up, you trust yourself, you have a positive view of yourself, and you trust other people, and you have a positive view of the world and other people, and you don't fear being left alone, and you don't fear being not worthy enough for love, and you don't chase anything because you yourself and your loved ones are secured, and you're just living in this healthy patterns, and you just have this peace within you. And that's what it means to be securely attached. And I know and I hope that we get to that. And we'll talk more about being secure in my next video. Please like and subscribe and comment. And I want to keep this series going where we talk about love and relationships and self-development. And yeah, subscribe to me on YouTube, on Substack, follow me on TikTok, and comment your thoughts if you have any thoughts, and I'll see you on my next one.